What's up, Ragin Nation? How's it going? This is Alex, you watching the Ragin Nation show. This is just a web series where we talk about all things matter to me in the world of movies. As always, there's a lot to talk about, so I just want to recap on some of the news that happened over the last 7 days. And just a little bit over 7 days ago, Super Bowl happened. And with Super Bowl, you get Super Bowl TV spots, and with the TV spots, you get reactions and reviews from me. And I did reactions and reviews for The Amazing Spider-Man 2 and also Captain America: The Winter Soldier, so I hope you check those out. And I also did a ridiculous reaction for Transformers Age of Extinction Super Bowl TV spot. If you haven't checked it out, head over to my Ragin Nation channel, The Ragin Nation. In fact, that's youtube.com/The Ragin Nation. That's where I talk about all the production updates for Transformers Age of Extinction and all kinds of other cool stuff having to do with toys and Transformers. So head over there, hit that subscribe button, and show some support, and you'll get all the updates from Transformers Age of Extinction coming right to your newsfeed. Anyways, moving on, let's talk about 3D movie news. And what's happening in the world of 3D movies is that Noah, which originally was in 2D rather, is getting the 3D post-conversion treatment. Now, this kind of sucks, because not only did the director not want to shoot, or rather present his movie in 2D, but people in international countries are getting it in 3D. And what sucks about that? Well, it's a rushed post-conversion. Do you remember Clash of the Titans and how that turned out when they did a rushed 3D conversion? They only had 3 to 4 months, and they only did that after the success of the 3D in Avatar, and the 3D looked like crap. The 3D in Noah is gonna look like crap. Now, thankfully, this does not affect North America. North America is getting a 2D release of Noah, but in some international countries, they're getting the 3D presentation of Noah. Let me just tell you something. If the option to not watch it in 3D is available, please watch it in 2D, okay? This goes for the Need for Speed movie. Need for Speed is also getting a rushed 3D post-conversion treatment. I refuse to watch any movie that gets a rushed 3D post-conversion. Now, I am still an advocate of 3D. I think that the format is the format of the future, and I think that it can be improved. But a post-conversion that's done in just a matter of 1 or 2 months is nowhere near going to be as good as its 2D presentation. So I'm just telling you guys right now, don't watch Noah in 3D and don't watch the Need for Speed in 3D. Watch it in 2D. That's the way the director wanted to watch, or rather present the movie. Okay, moving on, let's talk about Resident Evil 6. Resident Evil 6 is not happening. I thought that it was going to come out in September, rather mid-September, but Paul W.S. Anderson was doing an interview, and apparently Resident Evil 6 isn't happening. Now, he does want it to happen, but not this year. He was not doing any work on it whatsoever at all for a 2014 release. Now, he might do it for 2015, hopefully, but so far this year, no Resident Evil installment for us. Now, why do I care so much? Well, because in the last film, they ended it off with a cliffhanger, and they made it seem like the franchise is going to end with the 6th film. But you know Paul W.S. Anderson, and this franchise, it might not end, okay? But I just want to see where the story goes. But I'm just letting you guys know that Resident Evil 6 is not happening, alright? Hopefully it will happen next year. Moving on, let's talk about another action movie involving female heroines, and that would be the Expendables, not the Expendables. The Expendables is up to its 3rd installment, which comes out in August, but they want to expand the success of that franchise to an all-female cast. So imagine the cast of Expendables, remove all that testosterone and replace it with all-female cast. Now, how are they gonna do that in terms of make a story out of that, and why exactly are they all female cast? Now, they have this plot all ready to go, and apparently there's a warlord whose base is in an island, okay? And the Navy SEAL guys, or rather Special Forces guys, cannot take him out. In fact, all the Special Forces guys got taken out, keyword being guys. So what they gotta do is they gotta send in a bunch of Special Forces gals. Now, how are you gonna just send a bunch of Special Forces gals in there? Well, you're going to sneak them in as high-class escorts. Isn't that crazy? That's the most ridiculous script I've ever heard of. But it's meant to be like that. It's meant to be cheesy action fun, okay? And, well, we'll watch it. I'm gonna see where this goes, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna be just as fun as the Expendables, okay? It's got a pretty crazy cast, and Robert Luketic is the director for the movie. I've never seen any of his work, but they do have a director. Okay, moving on, let's talk about another action movie that is going to get made, and that would be Terminator Genisys, and they're in the casting phase right now. Emilia Clarke from Game of Thrones is Sarah Connor. Jason Clarke from Zero Dark 30 is John Connor, and they're doing casting for Kyle Reese. Now, there are two candidates. I forgot who the first candidate is, but the other candidate is Jay Courtney. Do you remember Jay Courtney? He played John McClane's son in It's a Good Day to Die Hard, and also he fought Tom Cruise in Jack Reacher. I think that he could pull it off. I think that he could pull it off. Main reason why is because he's a bit of a hard ass in those two movies. He really looks like he can play the tough guy role pretty well. And I think that this entire cast is pretty solid. Terminator Genisys is a reboot to James Cameron's classic Terminator film, and it comes out in July 1st, 2015. So next year on Independence Day long weekend. Moving on, in other action movie news, in Taken 3, nobody gets taken. So if you guys don't already know, there is going to be a third installment to Taken, and the theme of being taken is gone. It is directed by Taken 2 director Olivier Megaton and also produced by Luc Besson, but they are wiping out the whole theme of being taken. In Taken 1, Maggie Grace was taken. In Taken 2, Liam Neeson's character Brian Mills was taken. In Taken 3, nobody is being taken. So in other words, they might as well call this movie Brian Mills, or rather Liam Neeson Kicks Bad Guys' Butts. But because they want to ride on the success of the Taken franchise, they're doing a little bit of name slapping, and they're calling it Taken 3, but still nobody gets taken. So I think that's kind of silly. I think that's kind of stupid for the studios to do that, but hey, they're studios. They're greedy, okay? So what the heck? Anyways, Taken 3 will be coming soon, I think next year. Anyways, moving on. Speaking of another Luc Besson production, the Transporter series is getting rebooted. Can you believe this? The Transporter series, made famous by producer Luc Besson and Jason Statham as the title character as a Transporter, Frank Martin, is being rebooted, but they don't want to rehash the genre, or rather, they don't want to rehash the franchise. What they want to do is they want to do an origin story of the Frank Martin character. Why is he such a kick-ass character? Why is he such a precision driver? That's going to all be explained in what could possibly be a brand new franchise that doesn't have anything to do with Jason Statham being in it. Now, they had that TV series of the Transporter. I wonder how that went. I don't think it went pretty well. So, but you know what? Transporter still has a bit of a following. I think these movies are silly as heck because of how over the top they are. I think it's the most over the top action movie franchise in the history of action movies, but I still thought the first one was pretty cool. But the second and third one was just a little bit too ridiculous. But still, the character of Frank Martin, played by Jason Statham, is really cool, and I can't imagine anyone else playing him. So anyways, that's what's happening. Speaking of Jason Statham, he signed on for the sequel to The Mechanic. Do you remember The Mechanic? Jason Statham and Ben Foster starred in this this action film directed by Simon West. Well, it's coming with a sequel. Now, it was just a mediocre standard action film, but I thought that it had its moments. But the studios obviously think that it's good enough for a sequel. The original movie was budgeted at $40 million, and it earned $51 million worldwide. So I guess $11 million is enough to make, or rather, warrant a sequel. Alright? Anyways, Jason Statham is signed on, and that is what's happening. Now let's get into sci-fi movie news, and specifically Star Wars. there's been a lot of mystery shrouding the production of Star Wars Episode 7, and it's all based on rumors of casting rumors. Nobody is solid except for the original cast. Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, and Mark Hamill. But nobody else is solid right now. But there's one thing that is solid, and that is the shooting dates. Not the exact shooting dates, but rather the shooting time period, and that is Star Wars Episode 7 is going to start shooting in mid-May and going to go all the way through to September. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months of shooting, and most likely all in green screen, all in sound stages, alright? Unless they're in like a lush forest of Endor or wherever. Otherwise, it's going to be on sound stage and it's going to be a closed set. So this is the only solid news that we have for Star Wars Episode 7. And it's going to be kept in big mystery because, you know, it's a J.J. Abrams production. And with J.J. Abrams Productions, he really knows how to keep his productions tight-lipped. Alright? I mean, look at Super 8. Nobody knew what was going on with that. Look at Cloverfield. That was a big mystery. So, who knows what's going on with Star Wars Episode 7, but all we know is it is going to be shooting from spring all the way till the end of summer. Finally, let's talk about news about the Avengers, and casting news is happening, and Paul Bettany, who voiced Jarvis for Iron Man, is having a role in the Avengers Age of Ultron, and that would be the character of the Vision. The Vision is a robot character. I think he was created by Ultron, I think. But all I know is that Ultron is made up of AI. Okay, like he's a robot, and now the Vision is also a robot. So, you know, it looks like the Avengers are going up against machines. So, all I gotta tell you is that Paul Bettany, the voice of Jarvis, will be playing Vision. And I'm just thinking that that's a pretty good choice because Paul Bettany has a very unique voice. In fact, his voice as Jarvis is perfect. Now, they're gonna have to do a little bit of retooling of his voice to make his voice sound different from Jarvis, but all I know is that I think they cast the right person to play the Vision. Moving on, in other Avengers news, the Captain America Winter Soldier movie, apparently it sets the stage for the Avengers Age of Ultron. So right when Captain America Winter Soldier ends, get ready for the Avengers Age of Ultron, because there's no gap in between these two movies. Once that ends, they move right on to Age of Ultron, and that's kind of cool. Now, what is going to happen with Guardians of the Galaxy? Guardians of the Galaxy comes out in August, and it is the most disconnected film from the Avengers phase movies. You know what I'm saying? Now, the only connection that we've seen so far is at the end of Thor: The Dark World, where you see the end credits scene with the Collector. Now, that is the only scene that ties the Avengers universe with Guardians of the Galaxy. And if you don't already know, Guardians of the Galaxy's story is way out there. We're talking about space age, full-on science fiction, cosmic region, out of this world type story. In fact, Stan Lee doesn't even have much to do with Guardians of the Galaxy. He didn't create those characters. But they are part of his universe. Alright? So, I don't know where they're going to go with this, but all I know is that it's possible that Guardians of the Galaxy and the Avengers will be fighting the same common enemy, and that would be Thanos. Alright? So, there you have it. That's all I gotta say in this video. I've talked about a lot of movies. I've talked about Noah, Resident Evil 6, The Expendables, Terminator Genisys, Taken 3, the sequel to The Mechanic, the Transporter reboot, Star Wars Episode 7, Age of Ultron, and also Captain America, the Winter Soldier, and a little bit about Guardians of the Galaxy. Let me know your thoughts and feelings about any of the movies that I've talked about in the comments section below, and stay tuned for my review of the Lego Movie and also RoboCop, the RoboCop remake, which I'm watching on Tuesday and Wednesday. Alright, stay tuned for that. As always, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like me on Facebook, The Ragin Nation. Also follow me on Twitter, @RaginNation. I'll see you next time. Peace. Oh shoot.
Looks like you're giving the orders now.